Welcome back to Hot Headlines, the easy to understand conversational source for news. I'm your host, Julia Joseph. Today's episode is going to be all about catching you up on the latest developments in Iran. Obviously, in a conflict like this, it can be incredibly overwhelming when you see the headlines online and in the news and everything is changing by the minute. That's why I started a podcast like this to make those headlines simpler and digestible. I'm going to start with the hottest headlines of the conflict in relation to the U.S. to begin with. So first and foremost, on Saturday, the U.S. launched a surprise attack on Iran. This happened when President Trump announced, quote, major combat operations would be taking place against Iran. This was a joint attack conducted with Israel, and it was done to go after military and government sites and, of course, rulers of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, also known as the IRGC, which is the current regime ruling over Iran. Now, within hours of Saturday's attack, the regime's leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, was killed in an airstrike. He had been in power since 1989. Iran instantly responded back, sending a barrage of missiles into Israel, also targeting U.S. embassies and government bases and other countries within the Middle East. Now, from an American standpoint, there are a few main concerns that many people are focusing on here. To start, when Trump made the ultimate decision to strike Iran, he did so without getting congressional approval beforehand. What does this mean? Well, in the Constitution, it is written that in order for the president to formally declare war, Congress needs to be consulted first. It's how the checks and balance system in this country works. Trump did not do this, though. Of course, the debate is now, has he actually said the words, I'm declaring war? So this brings us to Wednesday. U.S. senators got together to vote on the War Powers Resolution, which would have given Congress an opportunity to demand congressional approval before any more attacks are carried out. The resolution failed basically along party lines, 47 voting for it, 53 voting against it. But keep in mind, at this point, the conflict with Iran has already been escalating for more than 5 days, making it, many people's opinion, quite dangerous to just pull out right now. So here we are, day 6 now of the conflict, and you will notice that Trump and his entire administration has been very careful when using the actual term war. Trump said it in his speech on Saturday while referring to the conflict, but as of now, he hasn't formally come out and said, we are at war with Iran. Hence why I have been referring to this as a conflict, though you will see many news organizations are already referring to this as a war, which it basically is. Another big headline in result is that 6 U.S. service members have been killed, all within basically the first day of fighting. Of course, this is incredibly sad for Americans and a huge loss to the U.S. military, but it also shines a light on many Americans' fear, which is Trump seemingly struck Iran without a clear exit strategy for the U.S., which includes protecting the lives of our soldiers. So now the question is, will the U.S. be sending in ground troops to the Middle East? Well, just yesterday, White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt said, in quote, it is not part of the plan, but as we all know, this decision could change at really any given second. So now a breakdown as to where we are right now in the morning of March 5th. To start, overnight, explosions were sent into Tehran, the capital of Iran. Israel also struck Hezbollah targets in Beirut, and Hezbollah being the Iranian-backed terrorist group based in Lebanon. According to the IDF, Iran also launched more waves of missiles into Israel overnight, which is no shock. Another new development is Iran has attacked Azerbaijan, seemingly bringing them now into this conflict, though Iran has denied these attacks and actually blamed them on Israel. And then we have the news that the U.S. made a successful attack on an Iranian warship, sinking it off the coast of Sri Lanka. More than 80 people were killed as a result. And since this attack, Iran has warned the U.S. that it needs to watch out. Posted to X this morning, the Iranian foreign minister said, mark my words, the U.S. will come to bitterly regret precedent it has set, claiming the ship was carrying members of India's Navy. One more thing to pay attention to, especially if you are traveling this week, many Americans are stuck overseas The first U.S. evacuation flight only left the region yesterday, and more than 17,000 Americans have had to come back to the U.S. since the first airstrikes on Saturday. And the Trump administration has faced more backlash on this, as many travelers feel they were just overseas without, again, a clear plan from the administration as to how they would get back home. Though luckily, it looks like more flights will be happening today to get more Americans home. Already, there have been reports that this conflict is affecting air travel. And as there is no sight of this conflict ending anytime soon, this is kind of just going to be a side effect of the near future in this conflict. Okay, hopefully this caught you up to speed for today, March 5th. Since we've been talking, more things have probably developed, which is why staying on top of a story like this can be so challenging. But now you have a clear lens to build off of as escalations of what's going on in Iran continue. Please like this episode on YouTube and subscribe if you aren't already. And toss Hot Headlines Pod a follow on Instagram and TikTok. Thank you so much for listening. I'll see you soon.